Hey everyone, been a while since the last time I uploaded, and it's not like I haven't been designing. In fact, I'm more backlogged now than ever. Now, in case you didn't notice, I actually am using my real voice now, woohoo. Hope it ain't too bad because in fact, I tried like 5 different formats for this video and I liked none of them. So, you know what, fuck it. No script, no format. If you spend half of your life on TikTok and have an attention span of less than 5 seconds, then I'm sorry, this video ain't for you. But let's talk about Ghast. Ghast farming on paper is pretty simple. You crunch some numbers and you build some portals. However, portal spam is notoriously bad on multiplayer servers. You need multiple accounts to prevent the mobs from despawning. One misplaced portal can easily lead to disaster. And it's not like the devs don't know about this. They've messed with portal spamming in the past. And in the future, I have a feeling that they will just implement a feature where mobs will start spawning with a portal cooldown. Now, normally portal farms are magnitudes faster than one-dimensional farms. However, gas farming is special, and I've actually found a decent farm that actually compares to your expected portal farm. Alright? Now, it is most likely known at this point that gas spawn most frequently in soul sand valleys. However, they do not follow the conventional spawning rules. So, normally, when the game tries to spawn a mob, it just picks an X and Z location. And it picks a random Y value between the highest block in this column and the lowest block in this column. And then it does some error checks to make sure the mob can spawn safely, whether it's colliding with anything, etc. And then if it's past the mob cap or not, alright? But in Soul Sand Valleys and Warp Forests, there is an extra rule, and this is spawn potential. So when the game does all the previous checks for normal mob spawning, it follows this extra spawn potential rule, and this was inspired by COVID and social distancing, which was meta at the time, alright? Now the way that this thing works is that the game selects a spawning spot in the Soul Sand Valley, then it gets the distance between this spawning space and all the other mobs, naturally spawning mobs that are in the biome, alright? So in our case, that would be the skeleton, the enderman, and the strider, alright? And what the game does is that it calculates a spawning value, and that value is a charge divided by the distance to that mob, and this is per mob. So if it finds another ghast, it takes the distance between the ghast and this block, and then it calculates a spawning value, and it keeps adding up. And if this number is past a certain threshold, the spawn attempt is aborted, alright? Now, something to note is that this only applies for mobs that are within the biome. Alright, so right now I am on a biome border between Soul Sand Valley and another waste, alright? Now, if I go into Spectator and calculate a spawn potential, this is a script that is run from Carpet. You see that the spawn potential is very low. That is something that I need to share later, alright? But if I move this strider across this biome border, hopefully it doesn't walk away from me for the 20th time. Do the same thing. It is much higher, so it only applies for the naturally spawning mobs that are in the biome. Alright, also one exception. Striders in Warp Forest don't count towards the spawn potential. That's honestly an L move. They should honestly implement that. That would be really cool. Don't need as many striders to spawn proof an area for a fortress farm, but can only keep wishing. Alright. Anyway, I'm not going to be doing too much of the mathematical proofs, but what I am going to say is that because of spawn potential, mobs will want to spawn as far away from each other as possible. If you've seen some other videos that showcase this, you've probably seen it yourself, where the mobs will spawn more towards the edge of the 128 block despawn sphere, alright? And ultimately, a spawning platform that is higher up but larger would actually spawn more mobs than a spawning platform that is lower but also smaller, and that is because the spawn potential That is because the mobs that spawn on the smaller platform would actually cover more of the platform with that spawn potential. Alright, now let's just go over to the farm. This is a one-dimensional farm. Alright, now I am actually not sure if I had the despawn sphere set correctly, so let me just go set this right here and enable it. Alright, so as we can see right here, the spawning platform is as far away as possible. This is at the edge of the despawn sphere. Alright, and again, when the ghast spawn, the spawn potential does not take up like half of the platform. Alright, now how does this farm work? It's mainly using these slime block conveyors. So ghasts are perfect 4x4 cubes, and their eye level is at the 3rd block. So we can get away with pushing these blocks down into the top head of the ghast without suffocating it. And because ghasts are so fat, we can keep chaining these slime block pushers into the ghast to keep pushing them forward. Alright, now the spawning platform is magma blocks. This prevents the skeletons and the endermen from spawning. Late levels work as well, however, since we're using pistons to move the ghast, that causes light updates, and light updates are bad. However, people keep using crying obsidian in their TNT blast chambers, so I don't know who cares at this point. The pulses, they just snake down this line that goes around, and these pulses move 3 blocks every 2 game ticks. So we're actually moving these ghasts at 30 blocks per second towards a center line. Alright, at the center line, I had to switch this to a 20 block per second conveyor, and the reason why is because the ghasts are compacted and a 30 block conveyor isn't as strong to push the ghast compared to a 20 block conveyor. So I actually had to slow this down a little bit to make sure the ghasts are pushed reliably. There are also these downwards facing pistons. These act as railings for the 20 DPS conveyor. Alright, and once they get to over here, they are pushed up towards the killing chamber. Alright, and another good thing about pushing them diagonally is that it gets them further away from the spawning platform technically, so that way the spawn potential on the spawning platform actually decreases faster. One other thing to note with this farm is the shape of the spawning platform. So of course we got the pack spawning leaves. Since ghasts do pack spawn attempts in Soul Sand Valleys, I just went out 10 blocks just to squeeze everything out. But this farm is mostly a donut light shape. I don't know, I just like the name. So mainly round to fill the despawn sphere, but square on the inside, mainly because these conveyors are horizontal and I did not want to do any curve business, whatever. Main reason for the hole is because of all the ghasts spawning around, the spawn potential is actually most of the time kept above the threshold in the middle. So spawning spaces in the middle here would basically do nothing because of the spawn potential. Now the killing chamber is rather simple. The ghasts are pushed past these trapdoors, which just briefly open, kind of acts like a one-way gate. They're pushed into here. The player is right here. They're in crouch state and facing down, and the reason why they're facing down is that the game would actually call the ghast. So if I could spectate this player, you don't see the tentacles of the ghast, and that's because the client is actually calling the ghast as you AFK, and that's a pretty good thing. Alright, the sword is what you expect: diamond sword, sharpness 5, sweeping edge 3, all that. Alright, there's also a beacon down here that gives strength 2 and regeneration, and strength 2 and the diamond sword actually one-shots the ghast. So this farm is actually pretty quiet compared to other farms because the ghasts are not taking damage. That loud as fuck sound only plays if the ghasts take damage and survive, not kill. Alright, the drops are spawned in this powder snow and they just fall through, and that's another good thing with this farm, is that you can just drop it into whatever storing system you want. Alright, now briefly, when I mentioned the spawn potential before, I mentioned Striders. Striders are part of the spawn potential calculation for Soul Sand Valley. So down here is just a bunch of cows to take up the passive mob cap to prevent Striders from spawning. And to keep the gas spawning. Alright. What else was there to say? Also, actually, yeah. The conveyors, these are more just a modified version of Floppy Donkey's conveyors. I mainly went for least amount of redstone components activating, so Floppy Donkeys had 2 observers triggering twice, so 4 observers triggering total per slime block module. This one uses 3 observer pulses, alright, and it is rather unload resistant in case for some reason the server crashes. The most likely case that will happen if this farm gets unloaded is that the conveyors on the north and south direction actually can be inverted in terms of their state. However, you can tune these note blocks to reset them properly. There was only like one extreme breakage, however, that is more like an outlier, and at that point just you kinda asked for it if you somehow unloaded the farm while it's still running. Another thing you could do to like not get blown up by the gas that spawn in here in case you for some reason need to do some maintenance on the farm is that you could have some Striders that are located just outside of the Soul Sand Valley, and when you need to do maintenance you push them inside, because again the spawn potential only calculates mobs that are inside the respective biome. Lever is here. It just connects to these clocks that are over here. Let me get rid of the mini HUD. These are 68 game tick clocks, alright, and they are offset. So as a result, the player is actually attacking every 34 game ticks. Also forgot to mention that this is actually the build limit right here. So these fences just prevent the gas from spawning, and the shroom lights provide light level. Why a light level so bad? I know. I just complained about crying obsidian like 10 seconds ago. Also, that means these note blocks are uncovered. They're technically more lag efficient than some of the other alternatives, so I just left it there. Better than half of the shit that plays on the radio these days, so I could really care less. You also have a setting, so you have a specific setting right here, so don't complain about that, alright? And this is why I mentioned earlier, the larger platform is better than a smaller platform. I messed with both designs. I tried a smaller circle down there and it just was barely producing like, I think like 8,000 tiers per hour. However, if we do the counter light blue right now, we are getting actually 16,000 gas tiers per hour for one player. And just for reference, I think someone, I forgot who, built a 2-player looting version of Nembon's Portal Spam, and that was 18,000 gas tiers per hour. Alright, so this is very good at competing with that. Alright. However, this can be made much faster. Alright, so let me go find where the heck it is. This way. Ignore that, that's an old design. So remember the whole thing with calculating the spawning position for regular mob spawning rules? It calculates, it chooses an X and Z coordinate and then picks a random block between the highest block in the world and the lowest block in the world. So let's just remove the entire nether and put the farm at Y0. So that way all the spawn attempts are concentrated within the farm, alright? Sadly, I don't really have video of this right now. I should have thought this one through, but whatever. I do have I'll just get a screenshot after, I guess, but because all the spawn attempts are concentrated in the farm, spawning will actually be faster. So the clocks are actually reduced now to 40 game ticks, and if I remember correctly, the rate of the farm is actually now 26,000 gas tiers per hour. Alright. And it's mainly just the same thing, a little bit of rewiring. This is actually max XP, so had to use a little cactus right here that it's so funny. the fact I actually had to do this. I am sure as shit not doing collection for you guys can figure that out. And yeah, I am not sure what else to say. Powder snow to spawn proof the pistons from the skeletons and the gas. I mean the enderman. I have this like weird array of fences and fence gates and trapdoors to make sure the gas stay in. Alright. Again, 20 blocks per second conveyor to make sure the gas are pushed reliably. 30 blocks per second doesn't really work. 30 blocks per second more works on single gas or if the gas are somehow all combined into one. But when they're all in a straight line like this, 20 blocks per second is better. These pistons at the end is more just to ensure the gas are kind of pushed towards the center. Alright, they're butted with this dust. This dust is practically the only dust in the entire farm. The rest of this is dustless, even this stack thing going up. These 4 dust here are really the only dust that keeps pulsing. And here's the activation line. It just runs around to each of the 8 clocks that surround each of the quadrants. Anyway, if you made it this far into the video, I just want to quickly say thank you for tolerating me. Normally I would put a world download in the description immediately. However, one thing making a good farm does for a small channel is that it just gets immediately stolen by a bigger channel. And then I just get a bunch of idiots saying that I stole my own design. Alright, so probably wait like 3 to 5 business days, I'll get it up by then. I'll probably post it in like TMA or something. I do want to quickly shout out Pufeffa for mainly just getting me some motivation and giving me some ideas. So that whole second farm thing at Y0, that was mostly just him messing around. And ultimately I just used like none of his ideas, so there goes that. Also just want to quickly thank TMP server for hosting this farm because there is absolutely no way I can showcase this farm in a single player world on my laptop. Alright, that's about it for now. If you have any questions, ask in the comments. I'll only answer the reasonable ones probably because I'm lazy. Anyway, that's about it. Stay chill. Later, alright?